Hello, and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod. Got a huge show coming up for you today. Not one, but two guests we had to speak to after announcing her retirement this week. World Cup winner Vicky Fleetwood is coming on the pod later on. Fleeto, or Pineapple Head herself, will look back on her career and what's ahead in the next couple of weeks for the Premier XVs. We'll have all the news, of course, from the British and Irish Isles. Welsh Rugby Union announcing some more investment. We've got semi-finals in France. We'll also take news from Oceania, from Asia, from South Africa as well. But first, we're going to start in Africa. The Rugby Africa Cup over the last couple of weeks has seen some incredible, and I mean incredible scenes watching those games in Madagascar. We've got Ando Herimahefa, the head of women's rugby in Madagascar, coming up on the pod in just a moment or two. Can't wait to speak to Vicky and to Ando. You're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod. As I was saying, Rugby Africa Cup has been finalised. Now, South Africa won all three games, securing qualifications for WXV2 tournament, which will be played in the Western Cape in October. Madagascar have been just brilliant hosts. Speak to Ando in just a moment or two. The Stad Macke saw South Africa beat Kenya 48-0 last Wednesday, while the home side Madagascar won 30-10 over Cameroon. Then on Sunday, round 3, Kenya chalked up their second win, beating Cameroon 52-3, while South Africa took the game against Madagascar 79-8. Well, let's go straight to Madagascar now and speak to the lady who's been so influential in putting this together over the last couple of weeks. Ando Herimahefa, English is her second language, a French speaker, so you've got to bear with her slightly. But I just thought it was really important to get some reaction from down there. What has been some brilliant scenes, we say, down in Madagascar. And we are a global podcast after all. Do excuse some of the audio quality. The line all the way to Madagascar is a little bit bumpy. Just gives me great pleasure to introduce the manager of women's rugby in Madagascar, where we've seen those incredible scenes over the last couple of weeks. Ando Herimahefa. Ando, thank you very much for joining us on the Women's Rugby Pod. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. So, thank you so much. Thank you for this invitation.
It's been an exciting couple of weeks, as we said. Describe your feelings for me when you saw the players running out on the field and all those big crowds. How proud were you? Just describe those feelings for me.
Okay, so as it's the first time Madagascar has hosted the Rugby Africa Women's Cup, but I'm very happy to have this tournament here in Madagascar. So we are grateful to have this crowd during the tournament. So I'm so proud for everything. Yeah.
Just how many people were in the crowd? On Sunday was the final round, and as you mentioned, Kenya beating Cameroon and South Africa beating your Madagascar side. How many people were in the crowd?
So let's say around 12 or 50,000 people during the game. So I'm so surprised because in the middle of the week, as you can see in the social media, it's an usual situation because usually we have the game during the weekend, but during this tournament we have a game in the middle of the week. So we are surprised for that crowd during the game in the Wednesday.
So 12 to 15,000 at the weekend, and on a Wednesday it was more like 20 we were hearing. Why is there such a big love for rugby, for women's rugby in Madagascar?
So here in Madagascar, most of our player is for the community rugby. So that we are so proud because most of the player and most of our club is from the rugby community, you know. So that's why every 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 players or every clubs they are coming for support their players. So that we are so proud of them.
So there's a very close link between the all the rugby clubs. How many rugby clubs in Madagascar are playing women's rugby? Do you know that? And how many players do you have on the island?
Oh, we have a lot, but for the women now we have 20 clubs for women and um, around 500 or yeah 500
500
and
players.
yeah around yeah.
That is superb. And is that number getting more and more and more?
Yeah, I hope next year we have more clubs for women's rugby.
You obviously know about the WXV tournament that World Rugby are doing now, and South Africa have qualified in WXV2 and Kenya in WX3. Is that the ambition, the goal for Madagascar to qualify for, first of all, WX3?
We try to work hard and try to improve our performance for qualified in the future.
Yes, well, if your numbers keep going up and up as they are, then that is a very realistic target. It is not, and Ando, I fully appreciate that English is your second language, and you're doing fantastically. We have seen crowds like this in Madagascar before. How big is the game of rugby in the country?
Okay, so here in Madagascar, yeah, our national sport is first football, but here in capital we have rugby is the most popular. You know, so every week we have a game, but especially for Sunday we we have more crowd like as you can see in the social media. But for women's rugby, I'm so surprised with the crowd we have last week. So yeah, I'm grateful
For those
for
crowds.
this. Yeah.
How much influence does rugby have on those 500 players in Madagascar, but also those 20 clubs that play? How important are those rugby clubs to the communities in Madagascar? How much influence does playing and those clubs have on the country?
Most of our players is in the capital, so most of them they are from the modest family, but here rugby is like how to say that, like tool or something for educate people, and we try to help them, especially for the social speaking. So even if they are from the modest family, but they do the great things. So um, we try to educate people through the rugby game. Here, in the rugby, we are like a big family, so it's not only the game, but it's for like uh, issue, or I don't know how to say that, something for to help people. It's not only the game. we are like a big family here.
That is lovely to hear, Ando. And thank you if I'm allowed to say for women's rugby, thank you for everything that you personally do.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
to see those crowds watching women's rugby and some great rugby in there, and it is very easy to just concentrate on the big nations that play rugby, those tier 1 nations, but it's so important that rugby is evolving all around the world. And if I was a genie in a lamp and I could grant you one wish for women's rugby in Madagascar, what wish would you ask me for?
I would like to have more visibility, or yeah, because here we we don't have a sponsor for women's rugby, so I try I try to do something for that. So if anyone or somebody would like to help us, so that's my wish. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, there you've heard it there from Ando, head of women's rugby in Madagascar. If there's anybody out there who's seen those incredible scenes and inspired by them, and they think they can help out, then if nothing else, then get in touch with us and we will put you in contact with Ando. But Ando, thank you so much for speaking to us. I think you've done brilliantly with your English. Keep up the good work, and perhaps we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm Rachel Taylor, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
I hope you enjoyed that chat as much as I did. You can hear the passion in Ando's voice. Huge thank you to Yolanda St. John from World Rugby. We're setting us up with that interview, giving us that connection. And as she says, if there's anyone out there looking to get behind a team, and you've got 20,000 watching midweek and sort of 15,000 watching at the weekend, obviously it's the major sport in the capital, as Ando was saying, then please get in touch and we can pass you Ando's details on. So thus far in the WXV, we're going to keep updating you with this. In WXV1 qualifiers already, England, France, Wales, Japan, Scotland and South Africa now qualified for WXV2. And in WXV3, it's Kazakhstan, Ireland and Kenya. Staying in South Africa, they will be a core team in next season's HSBC World 7 Series after capturing back-to-back World Rugby Sevens Challenger Series gold medals on Sunday at the Mark Otter Stadium in Stellenbosch. It's just on a huge upward trajectory, isn't it, at the moment, rugby in Africa, in particular in South Africa. Lynn Cantwell still waving her wand. The domestic league was in action again, and it's Western Province who lead the way after round 4. They beat the Golden Lions 44-10. The Bulls Daisies grabbed a bonus point win over the Sharks 34-0. Border Ladies won on the road at the Bowland Dames 31-22, the final score in that one. Round 5 this week, with the Test players back from their international duty. Of course, they were playing in the Africa Cup. The EP Queens host the Sharks. Bowland Dames travel to the Bull Daisies, while it's third versus first, with Border Ladies taking on Western Province. We've already mentioned Kazakhstan qualifying for the WXV3. They beat Hong Kong 27-23 last week, which meant it set up a final in the Asia qualification pool. Kazakhstan met Japan on Sunday. They lost heavily 72-0. So Japan are the Asia Rugby Championship winners. The Oceania Rugby Women's Championship has got up and running. Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Samoa and Tonga all facing off at Bond University on the Gold Coast in Australia. Papua New Guinea lost to Fiji 77-0. 0 in the opening game, and Samoa beat Tonga 69-5. Tuesday saw Samoa back up their win by thumping Papua New Guinea 83-0, and Fiji beat Tonga 45-12. So Samoa and Fiji have both qualified for the WXV. And Saturday, which is Papua New Guinea take on Tonga, and these two facing off, and the result will decide who goes into WXV2 and who goes into WXV3. So a big old game there coming up between Fiji and Samoa. We'll let you know about the result, of course, in next week's pod. Let's bring you up to date with the UK news then. The Welsh Rugby Union have announced their next major investment into women and girls rugby by establishing 3 new player development centres in East, West and North Wales. These are designed to support the development of high potential young players across Wales to help them achieve their ambition to be elite rugby players. In France, it's semi-final time. Semi-final number 1 will see Stade Bordelais host Stade Toulousien, and Blagnac will travel to the Massif Central and ASA Rugby, both these on Saturday. Here in England over the weekend, Lancashire were crowned county champions, beating Buckingham to lift the Jill Burns Trophy. And of course, it was round 17 of the Premier 15s. Just rattle through the results and the fixtures for you before we speak to Vicky Fleetwood. Exeter put 82 points to 7 on Wasps. Worcester against Lightning was postponed due to a lack of ambulance. I don't know the details there, but it's just not a great look, is it? It really isn't. For, as we all keep claiming, the best league in the world. Sale lost to Gloucester Harbury 14 points to 48, but it was a really gutsy performance from Rachel Taylor, Katie Daly-McLean's side, especially in that first 40 minutes. Sunday, Harlequins beat DMP 81 points to 0. Katie Mew, wish you a speedy recovery after a nasty hip injury. And there was a big old game, wasn't it, between Saracens and Bristol. Saracens, the champions, running out 48 to 38 winners over the West Country side. So this weekend, all games on Saturday, 2 p.m. kickoffs. DMP meets Sale. Exeter travel to Gloucester Harbury, a fascinating game, that one, first against second. At Franklin's Gardens, Loughborough Lightning face Saracens, while Worcester take on Harlequins. And sadly, Wasps, like DMP, final game in the Premier 15s for now. They host Bristol. Well, let's speak to a lady who's a double champion of this league. 82 caps, a World Cup winner, a Commonwealth bronze medaler in sevens as well. She's even a junior hurdler at the time, and some of the best hairdos in the business. Here's Vicky Fleetwood.
I'm Lydia Thompson, and you're listening to the amazing, world-class Women's Rugby Pod.
It is a huge warm WRP welcome to an old friend of Vicky Fleetwood. Fleeto, how are you? An emotional week announcing your retirement. Where's your head at right now?
Oh yeah, it's been pretty full on. I got a really nice goodbye from Saris, from both players and the fans, and yeah, it was really lovely to be part of their last home game of the season. And that was something that Alex Osterbury helped set up, and he said he didn't want me to go unnoticed and without people thanking me for everything that I've given to the sport. So I thought that was really lovely, and I'm really pleased that I got to do it, but I was so overwhelmed. My emotions were all over the place, and I cried a lot, laughed a lot as well, like seeing a few faces that I hadn't seen in a while. But yeah, it was awesome to be part of it, especially on such a lovely day and an incredible game actually as well. So it was really nice to be part of that for one last time.
Yeah, I'm sure, and a lot of love pouring out across social medias and little messages and what have you. Is all that sinking in right now, and what you kind of amassed over the last 12, 13, 40, 15 years?
yeah, it's when you're in it, it's not something you ever think about, is it? Like the things that you've achieved, and it's always on to the next thing. So even when we went and won the World Cup in 2014, it was what's coming next, what's the next thing that I can work towards. And I just think that's when you're at the top of your game, there's always something else. And the same with kind of making the decision about retiring. There's always something that you're like, oh, maybe if I do one more year, there's this that would be great to be part of, and you push on for a little bit longer. But yeah, I made my decision a little while ago, and it finally got announced this weekend. So people close to me knew, but the kind of the rest of the rugby community didn't. And I think I've finally had time to kind of look back and reflect and to be proud of what I have achieved as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, 100%. You absolutely should. And as I said, it's outpouring of emotion on social media for you. Can I ask it rather bluntly why you come to the decision that you've come to?
Well, not only am I getting really old.
Whoa! You're talking to me here.
In the women's game, especially.
There's not too many. 57. She's only just retired.
Yeah, I know. And Rocky was still going,
Yeah, she's still playing
for ages. But I wanted to put my energy into other stuff. Coaching, my personal training stuff, setting up a business and all that kind of stuff. The Robux Academy, I don't know if you know much about that, but myself and Tom set up an academy. Started in lockdown. We've done a couple of seasons where we've been able to actually play and do all of that little kind of important side to it. But yeah, it's been great, and it's been something that it's been ticking along alongside me playing. But I want to put a little bit more effort and energy into those other bits as well. And it's really nice having my weekends back and being able to spend a bit more time with friends and family as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Give us a bit more of detail about the Rebecca Academy then. Where can people find out about it, for starters? You can have a free plug.
So we've got a little bit of an Instagram presence because it's based for like 16 to 18-year-old boys who go to schools that don't offer rugby. So yeah, I just thought that, it's predominantly schools where you do play rugby that they then go down to the clubs on a weekend. So there's a whole load of players that aren't even getting the opportunity to even try it. Yeah,
well, when you speak to retiring players, I spoke to Shannon Parry last week. She's sliding into coaching, which she's been doing alongside it. And Sunta, as we know, has just slipped on a different tracksuit at the same place. Some people have that power, Vicky. It's as simple as that. We were never in any doubt that you would seamlessly go from player to retired player, because in lots of ways you've been one of those to the totem pole type players that have kept things going alongside your career the entire time. Where did that drive come from? Did you get a piece of advice? Is it just because you're an Energizer bunny?
I think it's a number of things, really. Bit of advice kind of is always given to you that, you can't just put absolutely everything into playing, because if you do that when things aren't going so well, like if that's the only thing you have, then you're not going to be in a good place. It's always good to have something else to turn to when, you're not selected, you're injured, all those kind of things that come along with, being at the top of your sport. And there was that, like, I get bored easily. So on our rest days, I was like, I need to be doing something that's keeping like my mind active as well. So, planning sessions, although I've been running PT sessions or coaching, like I'm not physically being active. So I'm still resting. I'm just keeping my mind active and helping others as well. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. Seeing people improve gives me a lot back. So being in coaching, being in personal training, both go hand in hand, and I get a lot from doing that as well, not only with it being a job, but intrinsically, it really fulfills kind of something that I guess I miss from when I'm being told what to do as a player.
How many hats have we've slid on to replace the playing hat? We've got the academy going on.
Yeah.
We've got the PT work, personal trainer stuff, which you've done for many a year. My word. Obviously, I've not looked at it very closely, but other people no doubt have and should do if you're that way inclined. And you just picked up a director of rugby role as well.
Yeah, as I said, I get bored easily. It's nice to have fingers in lots of pies, keep myself busy. It's just nice to have different focuses.
So it looks like the future is reasonably busy, but I wanted to chat with you about Prem 15s as well. But it would be remiss and going against the entire purpose possibly of having on today. It's to have a wee look back at Vicky Fleetwood's career, which has been a lengthy one. I'll just run through it, and you can correct me at any point. Debut 2011, 82 caps amassed. 50 of those in the first 4 years.
Yeah, then I got struck with injuries. As soon as you get past 25, it's not good. The body says, no, I don't want to keep.
Okay. Well, that run of 50 caps included a winning World Cup in 2014. What a bus ride that was. And you're involved in 2017 World Cup as well. Bronze medal, England Sevens, Commonwealth Games, 2 Premiership titles, and a junior hurdler of some note.
Yeah, that's kind of where my love for sport started, in athletics. So my dad's an athletics coach. He's actually working in parasport at the moment. So he's doing really well, which is amazing to see. But he started my love for sport. Both me and my twin brother were dragged along to athletics, but fortunately we were both pretty good at running. So yeah, for years competed in athletics, and I just wanted to kind of try a team sport. I just kind of missed being around other people, and some days you'd rock up to training when you're like training on your own and you're just not in a good place, no good vibes, all that kind of stuff. And actually being around people, being in part of a team, those days will happen, but there's always going to be someone who's in a good place and can kind of bring your energy up. And that's just what made me love rugby, just the not always the stuff that's kind of on pitch and what you get from playing, but all the stuff that you get from being off the pitch as well, and kind of the friendships that you make and all that kind of stuff that come with it.
I always ask, when you have a length of career and a successful career as you've had, where the drive comes from. I think in that answer, you probably tick that box with dad, and the passion for sport and going out coaching was, it's not an easy thing to do. It's hugely emotionally and time consuming, as you know. So that's that drive. When did rugby bite you on the bottom and say, hang on, why don't you give me a try?
They offered it at school just as an after school club.
So what age are we talking now?
15. Well, started when I was 14, actually got chucked off the team for getting into a fight with one of the other girls on the team. And then came back
Whoa. Okay. So in our first season with
a troubled child.
What any more details about why? Do you remember the girl's name? You have anything to say to her now?
No, I can't remember her name. She played rugby, didn't go on to play it much longer, just she wanted to try it. It was offered at school. We actually there was like 50 girls went along to training when it was offered. Just massive take up, girls wanting to give it a go. And our school was very successful. Both the year above me and the year below me did really well in the Daily Mail Cup for the schoolboys. So it was really big at our school, and they just thought, why not let the girls have a go? And as soon as I'd started training, started playing, I decided that I wanted to go down to a club. Went down to Leicester Forest, which is actually where Skaz was playing at the time, and I think getting to play alongside such an incredible player, like that really drove me forward as well. So when she was getting all her programs from England and the setup, I was always like, "I'll come and join you for your running session. I'll do your extra sessions with you," all this kind of stuff. Because as soon as I could see her going through the pathway, I was like, I want a bit of that. Like that would be pretty cool to be part of.
And then that competitive thing, which we haven't touched on yet, but is there for all to see when you pull on a rugby shirt. There's that competitive edge there. Again, is that do you think that's founded from dad and family and twin brother? That's
Yeah, definitely from having a twin brother. So we could be competitive, but it wasn't directly competitive. So I really feel for like Bryony and Poppy, both being in the same sport, probably always being compared, but you could never compare me and my brother directly, because being different genders, you physically couldn't compare us like directly. There was a time when obviously as you're growing up, girls hit puberty earlier, and I was actually quicker at like the 100 and the 200 meters than my brother. So I'll forever hold that close to my heart. I'll remember that forever, that I was once quicker than my brother, because he then went on to do really well at English schools in not only triple jump, but in the 200 meters as well. So very talented brother, and I had to somehow keep up with that.
How many world champion medals has he got?
I mean, he doesn't have any, and he doesn't actually do any sport anymore.
Do you remind him of that now? Because you talk about him in such glowing terms.
I mean, he doesn't even go to the gym. He's just not, like, his activity is walking the dog. I think he maybe plays a little bit of football, does a little bit of golf, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, doesn't even have a gym membership, not interested. If you'd have known my brother when we were like primary school, secondary school, no one would have ever thought that he would no longer like play competitive sport. But unfortunately, I think by the time he was 18, he'd had both his knees had surgery on them. So yeah, not a great start as a youngster in sport. So I think that's potentially one of the things. I know he struggled with his knees afterwards, even after they'd been opted on. So yeah, interesting that I was the one that went on and carried on when he was so into sport when we were younger.
And yet full circle with the injuries, but let's stay away from injury chat.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need any more
for
of
now. No, we do. We don't. There's so much to pick up on there, and I genuinely could talk to you for hours. Always hugely engaging character when our paths have crossed. Back to Leicester Forest. From there, where did we go? You're picking up Skaz's England stuff. Are you knocking on the door there? You're making phone calls.
Yeah, so we made the move together to Lichfield, where we played under 18s there. So did a season there. She's a couple of months older than me, so she was able to go up and play in the seniors a few months before I was able to. But yeah, we went to Lichfield together and were there for, I'm pretty sure I played there for about 7 seasons, maybe in the senior side. And then that's the only other team that I've played for club rugby other than Saracens at senior level. So I'm not one of these people that's kind of hopped about and gone from club to club. I've literally, at senior level, I've played for Lichfield and for Saracens, and that's it.
It sounds there like that's important to you that you only represented two senior clubs. Why is that? And what do you think that says about you?
I just think kind of like the loyalty of being somewhere, and that kind of meant something. And I think that's why Alex wanted to make a bit of a thing about me retiring rather than just kind of leaving and nothing being done, nothing being said, because I've been there for so many years. So although it kind of been a back and forth with going away and playing sevens for a little bit, so I actually didn't play that many games really for Saris, with injury, going away and doing 2 seasons with sevens, then being away with international stuff. I think I played 65 games for Saris over such a long period, not that many, but yeah, been in and around the club for years and years. So
yeah. But best part of a decade, isn't it? Down at Saracens.
Yeah, it must be.
A couple of titles in there as well. Was it? Please don't say it was, but was it Emily's scout, or that just her being around and in that system that got all those fires burning? We've spoken about your determination. We've spoken about your competitive edge. Was it that I'd like some of that? You know, she's may have come out with a tracksuit, or she's just been up to the training session where we, you know, yeah, I'm going to get that. When did that bite you?
Well, I think with her being so close to like everything I was part of, then definitely that. But then going to Lichfield, there were so many England players at that club that, you know, their drive, their determination, seeing how, you know, how much effort they put into training, you want to match that. And being, you know, when you're a young pup, easily influenced, it can go one of two ways. And actually, I wanted to kind of go on and do everything I could within the game. So yeah, being pretty determined meant that even though it didn't always go my way, like the change of position, all that kind of stuff, I was like, actually, I want to play for England. I don't really care what number shirt that's in. Even if that was on the bench, whatever position, 1 to 15, like really couldn't care less. If I was wearing that red rose and that white shirt, like that was kind of the biggest part for me. So I know some people wouldn't do that, but I really wanted to go on and play a sport for my country. So, and I managed to do that.
You certainly did. 82 times for England in the 15s. That's a lovely line. Very inspirational stuff, that, Vicky. Part A and B to this question. Do you remember that first England training session that you turned up at? What were the feelings there? And then when you got by yourself later that day, did you get in front of an ear and go, yes, come on? Or was it, I can't believe here, imposter syndrome? How was it, those two emotions on that day?
I genuinely can't remember feeling like
so long ago.
Either of those. So basically way back when I was kind of getting in and around the training setup, it was when there was an Elite 44. So they had the EPS squad, which basically was your full senior side with some others that would play in the A-League. And for me, I never really saw that there was like a huge transition from playing under 20s into England A and then into senior. It just kind of naturally progressed. And we were in and around the training, being part of the A's squad. You were in and around where all the senior players were. We would train against them, all that kind of stuff. So we'd do live scrums, live lineouts, go and play like a bit of a game, 20 minutes at the end of training. You go and play against them. And yeah, there was just quite a nice smooth transition from one to the other. Whereas they then got rid of the England A setup. So it was more, you'd be playing your club rugby and then you'd just be invited into camp. And it just probably was a bit more clunky, a bit of being around the camp and not getting any game time, all that kind of stuff. I know there's been plenty of girls that have done that. Some haven't been capped, some have just got the odd cap. And that was like being pulled in just because of injuries or things like that. But actually there was a lot more where we were working together with, you could see where you kind of needed to be, and you could see the difference between like club level, that little step up into England A, and then again into that full senior side. So can't remember being like, yes, I've made it. Like I'm actually at an England training session. Can't remember any of that.
Do you remember your first cap then?
Yeah. I actually had to room with Rocky, and I didn't know the girl that well. and I'd only known her like playing against her on the pitch or being at training, and knowing, you know, how feisty she was, and actually getting to know her, she's anything but that off the pitch. She's a blubbering mess at like every single shirt presentation. She'd be crying. You know, she's got the kindest soul, and it was so nice to have her as a roommate. I think she was quite worried. You know, you don't know how someone's going to be on their first cap. Like, are they going to be really nervous? Are they going to be really awkward? Like, what's it going to be like? And hopefully I wasn't like that. I think, you know, I just kind of cracked on, got on with it. But yeah, it was very different to what games are like today. We played at like a random college in Canada. It was on a summer tour. And we all stayed on site at the college in like dormitories. I don't think there could have been many more than 50 people watching. It wasn't even streamed, none of that. So yeah, if your parents couldn't fly out and go and see it, which mine couldn't afford to at the time, then they weren't able to see it until the DVD had been burnt and we could take it home and go and watch it.
For the younger listeners, a DVD is it's mad, isn't it? But you make that debut, and in the front row as well. Many people sort of just picked up women's rugby may not have known. Did you choose the front row, or did the front row choose you?
The front row definitely chose me. So I started life as in rugby as a centre. So lovely little centre partnership with Scars at Leicester Forest. And then when I was so there was a group called TDG, Talent Development Group, and there was a north and a south. And being in the Midlands, I ended up being in the north, and my parents had to drive me to Leeds. And I think it was like once a month or whatever it was, just for like a whole day of training, or sometimes it was like a full weekend. And basically, while we were there, just through like the testing, through training, they were like, the things that you're really good at, actually, you'd be really good at hooker. And there doesn't seem to be loads of people coming through the pathway in that position. If you really want to go and play for England, like, we think you should try it out. And there's me, having barely played rugby for very long, been playing in the centres. And I'm thinking, you want me not only in a scrum, but in the front row? You want me to learn a new skill to throw the ball in at the line out? I was like, yeah, why not? I'll give it a go. Not long after that, I had a call up to under 20s trial. I managed to get in as a hooker, and I'd never thrown into a line out. I'd only ever practiced just like throwing the ball to my dad. Never thrown into a line out. I'd never properly scrummaged. I'd just like practiced scrum shape, went along to trials and actually got in. So the rest was history. From then on, I was a hooker.
And I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but I read somewhere you're quite body conscious as a youngster, broad shoulders and the thighs to go with it. That in the end has put you where it put you and got you 82 caps.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think probably a lot of the girls that are in the England team today have probably gone through a lot of that as well, like whether that's at school or through friendship groups or whatever it is, not fitting the mold of like your average teenager. I was through always being sporty, so I started as a swimmer, then went into athletics. Like, I was always muscular, and none of my friends were. All my friends were stick thin, and I always wanted to look like them, but I also really like sport. And I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, being like, well, I really want to go and be successful in sport, but I'd love to be stick thin, and just never had that. And rugby really made me kind of look at my body and think, actually, this is made for a purpose. This is made for playing sport. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm passionate about. And over time, I wouldn't say like I love my body or anything like that, but I definitely feel like I'm proud of how strong I am, of how hard I've worked to be in the position that I'm in, and the position that I got myself into. It's something that I've worked hard for. And it's so nice to see now that like a strong body can still be a feminine body and is celebrated for the hard work that's put in, whereas that was never a thing when I was a teenager, and is probably why I struggled with my body image. And yeah, it's never going to be 100%. I'm never probably going to love my body, but I'm definitely in a much better place now than I ever have been with the way that I look and the strength that I have.
And that's quite incredible, isn't it? The thing that you most fearful of, you met it head on. And I would say in the women's rugby space, girls rugby space, you're an inspiration to people who are sort of having similar thoughts to you as a teenager. You've been a real role model in that area. Certainly, I mean, we're bouncing around, and there was always going to be the nature with such an eclectic person that you are, with all the strings that you have to your bow. I want to get back to on the field, because rugby is probably what most people are tuning in to listen to. So we're an England hooker. You made your debut. You sang the anthem. What did they make you do that first night?
Well, you have to sing after your first cap. So quite often that will be on a bus, but because of the nature of the tournament that we were in, we had to get up in front of everyone, and the opposition were also there. So your post-match meal, had to do a little bit of that. Thankfully, there was a group of us that got to do it. So along with Kay, Mo, Keatsy and McKenna, there was a whole load of us that got capped at the same time. So it wasn't too bad. They definitely could have laid into us a lot more.
Did you choose a joint song then?
To start with, we then got made to do it on our own on a bus at a separate point. When we had an away game. But yeah.
What was the group song, and what was your individual one on the bus?
The group one we did steps, I think. I think we did like a 5, 6, 7, 8 little, danced with it and everything.
Of course you did. Yep.
Yeah, so something like that. And then I chose, because the issue was everyone said you're going to get booed if you choose something that's already been sung. So you're thinking, oh my goodness, what should I pick? And I was strongly thinking of going for, did you ever watch Arthur or see it, like a children's program? Everyone knew the song to it, so I was like, I might just sing that. And then when I got up there, for some reason I just sung Fresh Prince. Don't know what happened. Something happened and I just sung that instead, just because I knew all the lyrics.
What are the opening titles for the TV show? Yeah. How's it go?
I'm not going to sing it. I've already done that once before.
Almost. You paused. Almost got it. Almost got it.
I thought about it, but
look, I post 2010, England had a bit of a sort of sweep out as a natural sort of thing moving into 2011 and the next World Cup cycle. So we'll talk about that World Cup cycle. 2014, the Stade Jean Bouin. You win against Canada in a World Cup final, having drawn against them in the pool stages. That was fun with the arithmetic. Was that your Everest on the rugby field?
Do you know what? I mean, as in like the best highlight.
A single moment, yeah. A single moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Like incredible. And something that no one will ever take away from any of us that were involved in that. Yeah, I think annoyingly it wasn't against New Zealand, the win. Because I feel like for some reason, every time we face them in a World Cup final, we lose. And it's genuinely not something we go into thinking we're going to lose to New Zealand, because we beat them in 2017, we beat them just months before in New Zealand. So in their own backyard, we beat them and we played so well. We were on fire, and yet a couple of months later, couldn't replicate it. We just couldn't do it. And they outsmarted us in like every facet of the game. And then unfortunately, I wasn't involved, but this last one, no one would have seen it coming. A flipping red card changes everything. So yeah, for some reason, we just can't beat them in a World Cup.
Because she's the competitor. I've asked you about your best moment in rugby, and we've turned it into not being New Zealand in World Cup.
Winning the World Cup, absolutely incredible. The fact that because it was in France, all our friends and family were there as well. I'm sure you've heard time and time again about kind of the celebrations where we got off the bus and everyone was singing Swing Low. Incredible.
I was on that bus.
Were you?
Yeah.
I was drunk by that point. I can't remember.
We went into the stand and there's a lot of drinks going on there, a lot of people. Get on the bus. Your roommate from England days, Rocky, just grabbed me and went, "You're coming with us."
I was at the back. I was at the back of the bus.
Yeah, and then stopped at the roundabout.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had friends and family there.
Yes. Yeah. So both my mum and my dad were there, and my boyfriend and his cousin were there. Just like amazing. And then so many Lichfield lot had made the journey over to France. They were like, let's just get on a flight, let's go there. It was amazing to have so much support.
There is so much to cover, and we obviously can't cover absolutely everything because time is ticking along. 7s and 15, you flipped up a little bit between the two. Equally adept from what I saw, both codes. You have a preference, or did you get different things out of them and therefore probably couldn't choose?
I think, I definitely think I got different things out of them. I would 100% say that I preferred the 7s training. Just that like pushing your body to the limit, and every single person is doing the exact same. I feel like in 15s, some people get away with not working quite as hard. And sometimes that could frustrate me. I think you get a much tighter bond with your teammates when you're with 7s. There's only 12 of you that go on tour, and you spend a lot of time in each other's pockets, and you don't kind of fragment off into smaller groups where, in 15s, it might be the groups are whether you play at the same club together or you've grown up playing together. There's lots of little groups. And I remember, like, even now, Nolly and I talk about how we played alongside each other for so long in 15s, but never actually became friends until we were in the 7s program. And we were put as roommates together in 7s. And our friendship just blossomed from there. Like we'd literally been on the same team for years and didn't really even know each other that well. I think that's a big difference. I also don't much like the wind, the rain, kind of 15s conditions. It was quite nice to chase the sun and to go on, all the different tours that you do with 7s. Like that's a really exciting part to doing the 7 series.
Do you remember a particular match, a particular victory, a particular try that you hold most dear from your times with England 7s?
So the World Series in Langford, where we'd actually taken not the greatest team. We had a few injuries to what you would class as kind of the starting team. And we had the best time ever. Honestly, any of the girls that were on that tour will know that it was just fantastic. Even so, obviously your tournament's over 2 days. Day 1, we lost 2 players to injury as well. So we were playing with 10. So we were playing lots of minutes. And we just, although we weren't our strongest squad, we played New Zealand twice. We played them in the pool stages, and then I'm pretty sure, was it quarterfinals? Can't remember, but both times we only lost by 1 try, and we were just like, this is so frustrating. Like, we're doing so well, and we were just playing so well as a team. Got some great wins, but yeah, playing so well against such an incredible side. The Black Ferns Sevens team are incredible. So for us to lose those games by just 1 try, we were just like, we felt like we'd won, and we were just like, this is so good. So I think that's got to be kind of my favorite trip with Sevens. Probably that or the Commonwealth Games, just because being part of a big sporting event was really special. You go to like your holding camp, and then you go into the village, and it was just the fact that it was on the Gold Coast in Australia, like that was amazing. So yeah, there's been loads of like really cool parts, and it's hard like when you're put on the spot to try and remember all of them. But yeah, it's nice when you're kind of having those conversations with players that have been there and done it, and something crops up in conversation, and you just kind of reminisce about all the good times.
Well, that's what it's all about. I think that's what the last how many years has been about, isn't it? About creating those memories.
Yeah, absolutely. And even sometimes, like while you're in it, you don't realize you're creating memories, and that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that you look back and you can look back fondly on things that happened and how they've kind of shaped you to be the person that you then are years down the line.
We must wrap it up because I'm taking far too much of your time. As I say, I'm very happy to talk to you all day long. I'm just going to cover a few bits with some quick fires. So 1 word, or certainly very most 1 sentence.
Okay, putting me on the spot here.
Yeah, really putting you on the spot. Now, Paxman-like. Best roommate.
Nolly.
Favorite game of 15s. Let's do club first.
Club. So last year, Prem final against Exeter.
Fantastic.
Loved it.
Performance from all. Favorite game international.
The World Cup win in 2014.
Favorite ground.
Twickenham.
Toughest opponent in the same position, and you're going to have to answer twice, aren't you? 2 and 7.
Ooh. Keena Maloney at hooker. Just can't believe that she's not been involved with Ireland for a number of years now. Like, she's incredible at like in attack and defense. Her throwing's great. Like, she's just a phenomenal athlete. And at 7,
every week as well, by the way, Vicky, every single week she delivers, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's
anyway.
Great.
And we'll move on.
At 7, there's so many. There's so many good
Claire
players.
Malloy.
Yeah, she was always really annoying to play against.
Tyranny.
Honestly, I couldn't name one. There's so many good players.
Good back rowers.
Yeah.
Okay. Most skillful player you've ever played with?
Katie Daly-McLean. Just like her pinpoint accuracy on her kicks and how she pulled other people into the game. I just think, yeah, incredible.
The one game that keeps you up at night that you'll think about forever that got away?
I mean, thankfully, none currently are. And that especially now.
But after this, Johnny, yeah,
now
thanks.
I'm retired. Hopefully thinking about rugby won't be keeping me up. But
you know what I mean.
I'm pretty sure that kind of that 2017 World Cup final, in the dying stages of it, we were coming back into it, and how we, why did we leave it so late? The fact that we'd literally beaten them in their backyard just months before. I think everyone who was on that pitch that day will just, and the same with the latest World Cup, I'm sure they'll just be thinking, like, how did that happen? How did it like get away from us? So yeah, it's got to be that one.
Best night out after a game of rugby. You have to give us details, just where it was.
Lichfield nights out were always the best. So before we were all professional, just everyone just loved it. Like, it was just so fun. Lichfield, of all places, like, you know, pretty sleepy. Is it a town? City? I think it's a city. I don't know. Really small though. We used to just go to the local nightclub, and just everyone would just have the most fantastic time. And anyone who was in that era when we were all at Lichfield, a load of the England players, if you ask them, they will say the Lichfield nights out were just great.
One of your teammates for club and country has described you as a mini egg.
Yeah, Marley.
Do you
I think
agree with
she
that?
meant a cream egg, but
she says they're hard on the outside and soft on the inside. I'd have gone for a soft mint if that was the analogy on confectionery. Yeah. What confectionery would you compare yourself to, and why?
I feel like what she said was quite nice, though. It's nice to be in a similar way to what I said about Rocky, really. Like, if other people see you as quite tough, but those that know you know that you can open up and be a real softie, then surely that's the best of both worlds.
Indeed it is. And the word caring has come out many, 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 many times. There is one last thing, and it's by far the most important thing that we would have spoken about last. It's an hour now of your time. I do apologise. The pineapple.
Yeah.
Conscious choice, or just get the hair out of the way? We are talking, ladies, if you don't know, and Vicky, very, very infamous really for just having the pineapple up on the head, and there used to be loads of emojis and cuddly little pineapples flying around the place and pineapple clothing and all the rest of it. But back in the day, conscious choice?
No, it actually wasn't. I feel like this is something that I'm known for, the pineapple. But yeah, it came from, so basically when I was throwing in, as you pull your hands through with the ball, it would catch on my hair when it was any lower. So to begin with, the reason I started doing it was so it was out of the way for when I was throwing, and then I just really liked it. So as you can kind of see, I'm styling one today. It's just kind of out the way, especially when you're kind of in the gym working hard. You don't need your hair just kind of like flopping around. Same goes with rugby. You can't see the ball to catch it if you've got hair in your face. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to get it out the way, and it just kind of stuck. So
functional.
Yeah. So it wasn't actually a decision that was made, but to keep it. So even when I then moved to flanker, or when I was playing sevens, didn't need to have it up there, but it stayed.
It has. And yeah, it's nice having. Do you have a scrunchie off with Georgie Evans at Saracens? He's got the best scrunchie.
No, she always goes for nice pink. She goes for the bows. Yeah, she loves a bright pink. So yeah, she's less of a scrunchie and more of a bow kind of girl.
You're quite right. Why on earth am I getting into hairdressing with you ladies? I really don't know. I just two more, if I may. As you just slowly close the door on your rugby playing career, from when you opened that door, and as you say, that there was no streaming, it was done on a VHS, and there was 50 people there, and you're walking back to your accommodation after the game. Can you quite believe where the women's game has come, and what's the thing that's pleased you the most?
No, like, I really can't believe it. And even I think it was last year when England had found out that they'd won the bid for the next World Cup, and they'd made a statement to say that they wanted to fill Twickenham. I even was like, that isn't going to happen. Like, that is not going to happen. And seeing the game only, a couple of months ago, at Twickenham against France, final Six Nations game, 58,000. I was like, it's going to happen. Like, it is going to happen. And being part of that crowd, like, that was phenomenal. Like, I would never, ever in my wildest dreams, when I first got capped, have ever thought that women's rugby would be where it is today. And it's not where it should be, with all the time and the effort and everything that the players put into it, and what I know that the sport can be. But where it is and where it's going to is just really exciting.
Are the players still the centre point of women's rugby as it just grows at such an I'd say alarming, but at such an incredible rate? Do you feel it's going in the right direction, or certainly spearheading in the right direction?
Yeah, definitely. I still feel like the players can be supported a little bit more, but all the kind of media backing is what has really pushed it on, and the fact that they've just gone, right, we're going to see how it goes with a standalone game at Twickenham. Like, I think the RFU had kind of pushed back on that for a long time, and for them to finally say, let's just go for it. Now the game has proved its point and shown that actually we can not, we didn't fill Twickenham, but we would, with that number, you would fill a lot of stadiums, and it's only going to grow. It was more of a family day out than watching any of the men's games at Twickenham. So actually, if you want to get amongst it and get your kids to go and enjoy a great game of rugby and a great day out at Twickenham, then why would you not go and watch the women's game? Like, I think they did it in the best way that they could have done. And I think the future is really bright for women's rugby.
Wow. What a salesperson. Can't say salesman. I'll let Shauna be on my back. But yeah, brilliant salesperson. That's fantastic. Look, I haven't gone into during season and what have you, because those are the kind of the dark moments that I just don't think at a time like this you need to be reminded of. I just wanted to finally just chat. It's going to be a brilliant end to the season, and this is, I promise you, my final question. Who we know our top four now, don't we? We're expecting Bristol to beat Ross at the weekend. So you reckon it's going to stay Gloucester, Exeter, Saracens, Bristol, and therefore who wins those semis and who wins the final?
If it stays like that, then Gloucester, Sarries final, I think.
And who wins? Head. This is a head question.
Obviously, I'd love Sarries to win, but Gloucester have been on fantastic form this season. So it would be pretty rubbish for them if they didn't. The fact that, so they've won the league, but you then have to go on and actually perform at a semi and a final. And I've been part of a Sarries team that have done that. And, we've topped the league, but we've then gone on and lost the final. And it's about performing on the day. And we all know how well Sarries do when they have to perform. And I feel like they're coming to that part of the season where everyone's knuckling down and the performances are coming. But yeah, Gloucester have been great this season. It's been awesome to see a different team leading the way. And that is only good for women's rugby, like the fact that it's not always the same two teams that are in the final.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. I'll ask you the question. It's good for the game that somebody else is there. We were talking about that last year, weren't we, without the normal protagonists in there. But you've been a main protagonist of that Red Roses squad for many years. World Cup wins, bronze medals at Commonwealth Games, couple of Premiership titles. But far more importantly, an ambassador for the sport on and off the field. We've spoken about that, and you only have to listen, whether it's comparing you to a mini egg or a cream egg or whatever it is. The outpouring of people those closest to you, you're one of those caring people knocking around. So from all of us in Women's Rugby, thank you so much for your service.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on as well.
No, absolute and utter pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck with the DOR stuff. Check out the Roebuck Academy on Instagram, ladies and gents, if you're listening. And I do hope to see you on a touchline very, very soon, Vicky Fleetwood. But
yeah, I'm sure our paths will cross in the not too distant future.
Once again, thanks so much again.
Cheers. Take care.
I am Sophie DeGutti, and you are listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Chock-a-block show today, isn't it? Time to wrap things up for you. We'll have a full semi-final preview of the Premier 15s next week on the pod. But a few shout-outs just to finish up with RPA winners here in England. Sadia Kabir was the RPA England Women's Player of the Year. Premier 15s Player of the Year was Mo Hunt from Gloucester Hartbury. The Special Merit Award went to Emily Scarrett. And the Blythe Spirit was awarded to Abby Burton. Inducted into the Hall of Fame was our very own Sarah Hunter. Big shout outs to all of those very, very deserved winners. Georgie Lily Paris Redding, 50 caps for Sale and a stunning try as well. Ella Vivas for Saracens, congratulations on your 50th cap as well. Two former champions have announced their retirement from the Premier 15s. They're both winners of the competition as well. Dav Catlin and Chloe Edwards to retire from Harlequins this week. Big shout out to the careers of Edwards, the first and only Centurion at the club, and Dav, such great energy and amazing determination to get back close becoming a mum. Good luck with all you do next. Ellie Corsair from Harlequins as well, as says goodbye to her time in England at Harlequins and her career. In fact, great person and top human being as well. The experienced Verda Eshka Grain, if I've said that right, played her 50th provincial match for Western Province against the Golden Lions and chalked up a 44-0 win as well. Congratulations to her. I had a lovely conversation this week with the ladies at the Pelota Viva, South America's first women's rugby pod. See, we told you so. It's spreading. So to host Cynthia Canales and Esperanza Hernandez, who said the community of women's rugby is growing even here in Chile, and you guys keep us connected. Very, very kind words, but it's just brilliant to connect with people. Well, we were just talking earlier, weren't we, to Ando in Madagascar. We're now talking to Cynthia and Esperanza in Chile. It's brilliant. It's why we do this. Big shout out to you ladies for spreading the word over in South America. We're going to have you on the pod if we can get that arranged around October. So we'll hear all about rugby in Chile in October from Cynthia Esperanza. As ever, if you don't already, subscribe, rate and share. Huge thank you to Tom and to Vicky. Massive thank you to Vicky Fleetwood. Sad to see a Red Rose and World Cup winner hang up the boots, but we know full well that she'll be a great success wherever she goes next. And a massive thank you, speaking to us all the way from Madagascar, to Ando Herimahefa. Absolute pleasure to speak to her and just reflect on those incredible scenes over the last couple of weeks in Africa. As I said earlier, full preview of the Premier 15 semi-finals next week for you here on the Women's Rugby Pod.